Hello, and welcome. I have music playing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be having music for every single live, but this feels right now. I'm usually listening to classical music, my playlist, and if anybody's interested, just let me know and I'll send you that playlist. But this just feels right. There's so much I want to talk about in this live that I'm kind of like, I'm going to try to make this concise and give you bite-sized nuggets of guidance, right? But also, whatever comes out is going to come out, and it needs to be said. I'm just going to let it flow. Thanks for being here. This is the first of 5 lives in this live series. I'm going live every day this week to talk about a different way in which you can harness your sensitivity, specifically what it looks like, what it feels like, how to implement actual tactical strategies, right, that you can practice. Today, we are talking about how to anchor into your needs, right? How do you identify your needs so that you can fulfill them? How to touch base with yourself. And this live is definitely centered around your self-relationship because, as I say, harnessing your sensitivity does strengthen your relationships with other people, but especially with the relationship with yourself. And the transformation is a more grounded feeling when you are navigating these spaces, when you're navigating these different environments, right? Your home life, your romantic relationships, your friendships. Cultivating soul tribe is the biggest and most transformative thing that any highly sensitive person can do, and they are worthy of accessing that kind of community. But the relationship with yourself is definitely going to be reflective of the relationships that you have with other people. And so it's our most important one. If you pop in, say hi, don't be afraid. Hello, Mel. Thanks for being here. I'll just wave at you real fast. So, anchoring into our needs. How do we do this? We do this by not working against or fighting the way that we process information, the way that we process emotions and our thoughts. That is really big because our processing as highly sensitive people looks completely different, right, from each other. I have worked with a lot of highly sensitive people, and I can't say that everyone processes information the same, right? And if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my iPad where I have my notes for today. But yeah, there's one method that I teach my clients. And if you've listened to my podcast and watched a couple of my episodes, you probably already know this. I'll go over it real quick for you guys on Instagram. But I do teach the method of pausing to drop in before you pause to reflect, right? This is an important strategy because a lot of times as highly sensitive people, we are really deep reflectors, right? That's what we do. Reflection, self-reflection, self-awareness, we're masters at it, okay? And when it comes to navigating these different emotions, when we're faced with different situations, right? It's easy for us to go straight up here and analyze and observe and come to the conclusions that we need to come to make the decisions that we need to make, right? The thing is that can be very fast and it happens in the blink of an eye, and we feel big emotions. So big emotions are very stimulating. It can be a lot at the time. And sometimes what I've noticed often is that a common issue that highly sensitive people face is when you're faced with big emotions, you'd feel like you can't communicate the way that you want to. You feel that you can't ground yourself and be center and respond the way that you want to. There's something about that feeling of a loss of control over being able to show up the way that you want to because we're feeling all the things. And that in itself is overstimulating. But you couple that experience that is so normal and so okay with cognitive distortions or limiting self-beliefs that we may have, right? If you are feeling big things and then you think that you're not supposed to be feeling that thing, or why am I feeling so upset, or why am I feeling so flustered right now, or I shouldn't be so calm about this thing, right? I should be a little more riled up. However it shows up. Let me just wave at you guys who are popping on. If you are, overwhelmed by the physical experience of your emotions, and on top of that, you're already in your head, like, why am I experiencing this thing? Why is this my experience? This should not be my experience. We are moving further and further away from our needs, right? There's already a sense of shame around what is needed of us at the time, what our emotions are communicating with us, right? So this is my method of pattern interrupting, right? Just in the moment. Instead of pausing to reflect, which is a beautiful thing, by the way, which is something that a lot of people teach and talk about, and your therapist will tell you, pause to reflect, pause before taking action. I'm here to tell you, before you get to the reflection part, pause to drop in, get a better understanding of what's going on in your body. And that's what that is. Basically, it is pausing to check in with your physical body and where emotions are showing up for you, right? So I had this conversation the other day with a great friend, and we were talking about how our processing is a little different from each other. I am someone who has always, my entire life, I have felt emotions on a very physical level, right? So happiness I feel that physically, sometimes before I even register it as happiness. I remember I have like really bad rosacea, so I would get red for anything. And no matter how excited I was, a lot of times if I was upset, my face would get red. If I was happy, my face would get red. If I was giddy or excited about something, my face would get red. And so, yeah, it was always very physical. I felt feelings in my chest. If my stomach was upset and I wasn't happy, I knew I wasn't okay. But it was a disconnect. There was a disconnect between my physical body and the emotions that I was feeling, because I didn't register them as emotions. I was just like, I'm feeling weird. And also going straight to my headspace and being like, why am I feeling this way? Or what's the right thing to do right now? We can get really caught up in that, right? My friend, the person I was talking to about this, they were telling me that they go straight to their head. They don't really feel emotions physically. That's not something that they're familiar with, right? They think they have streams of consciousness in which it's upsetting, right? They told me that they can spiral, right? And then that will cause bad emotions, right? Or good emotions, really just depends. Ultimately, pausing to drop in is a great start to connecting with your body, because as someone with SPS, sensitive processing sensitivity, you are very sensitive to a lot of stimuli. And that's a very physical experience. It's a very physical thing. We want to make sure that we are not disconnecting from ourselves and our needs, right? Sometimes our bodies know before our minds get there, right? Sometimes our bodies are communicating things that our minds just won't get unless we are intentional about making that connection. So they're always relaying information to us, so it's up to us to make that almost like a muscle mind to muscle connection, like when you're working out. You can think of this little practice as that. Let's see what else I put. There were so many things I wanted to talk about today, but before I get into tangents, witnessing your emotions and your thoughts. That's ultimately what you're going to be able to do when you practice this. And it's not always when you're feeling upset or anything like that. Like, this is just, it's great to practice baseline, because the transformation is when you've mastered this method of anchoring into your needs, is you'll be able to communicate your boundaries. You'll be able to fulfill your needs on your own. You'll be able to weave out, kind of sift through the people in your life and keep those who work best for you, right? And this is the conversation of choose your friends wisely. But it's on another level in that, as a highly sensitive person, there are some people who are just going to always drain you. And the different dynamics that you have in your life are going to teach you how to harness your sensitivity in different situations, which is so crucial to know and to just have that skill, because you're already adaptable. You're already very flexible to change, and you can navigate different spaces already. That's something that a lot of highly sensitive people can do, right? But the transformation, or going back to the transformation, what that allows you to do is, instead of meet your needs with anxiety, right? Instead of feeling the big feeling, having the cognitive distortion, having the negative thought, and freezing, or feeling this very physical experience of your stomach being upset, your chest tightening, you not feeling like yourself, or you not being able to access yourself around certain people or around different situations, or when problems arise, as they always do. Life gets busy and there's a lot going on. The difference is, instead of feeling anxious when your body and your needs are communicating with you, you get to feel tranquility in the face of chaos. Quite literally, right? You're able to be the high achieving HSP that you are. You're able to have problems in your romantic relationship, have problems in your friendships, and still find groundedness in, well, this is how I'm processing things right now, in the moment. And in each moment, you're able to have a sense of calm. It's truly the pure definition of recentering, right? Get centered in your processing by not rejecting it. And what I'm talking about is basically self-compassion. This is just the one little area in your life in which you can show up, right? This is one way that you can practice self-compassion in your processing as you anchor into your needs. You get to meet your needs as you see fit, any way that you want. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to respect how you process your needs, right? Without rushing yourself, right, through emotions, allowing your emotions to come up as they do. Finding compassion when your cognitive distortions are like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't do this, or stop being this way, right? Those thoughts get to come up and they get to pass. And a lot of times, once you practice this enough, they they don't show up at all. And it's a much more pleasant time, right? And through this, we get to access other things. We get to access accountability, much easier. We get to access compassion for other people, much easier. You get to access just the groundedness that you're kind of craving, especially when you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, right? You don't know where this conversation with a loved one is going to take you. You can have or find, how do I want to say it? I think ultimately you can trust yourself amidst uncertainty, and this is one way to do it. And that's all for this live. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to end every live with a quick grounding practice, and then I'm going to do a sound ball, right? So you can get on with the rest of your day, or if you're watching the replay, definitely comment, #replay. Let me know that you're watching it as you're watching it. If any experiences of your own come up, always feel free to share. This is a safe space. Or DM me if you want to just talk about it with me personally or privately. But yeah, let's do it. So what the grounding practice I want to do right now is just some breath work, right? And whenever you're watching this or if you're listening to this, I want you to breathe in, and as you breathe in, there are different ways in which people like to breathe and how that feels in their bodies. Some people like to fill up their stomach and their diaphragm. Some people like to breathe through their chest, right? Kind of expand their upper body to allow the breath to come in. I always say the best way to breathe in is by expanding your stomach, your tummy, and your chest. They expand or rise together in unison, and then you exhale and they go down in unison. Yeah, they're moving as one. And always breathe in through your nose. I always breathe in and out through my nose. I do not breathe out through my mouth, but whatever feels more or most comfortable to you. As you breathe in, I just want you to imagine that you're being filled with bright light, right? You want to feel your breath through your body. So we're going to do that together. We're going to hold for 2 beats, and then we're going to exhale, okay? And breathe in. Breathe out. One more time, breathe in. Breathe out. Thank you for being here. I will end this live after a quick sound bowl. I love that. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow.